the MEC for Education, Sport, Arts, Culture and Recreation, MEC Maile. He is joined by the HOD, Mr. Albert Chain, the CFO, Mr. Ompitlitsi Mafura, the Director for Municipal Finance Management in the department, Mr. Lebogang Maile. The MEC would like to update the public in terms of the provision of water and electricity to schools. After which we'll be able to take a round of questions and answers. We'll also be able to take one-on-ones. The MEC will also touch on the matter of the High Court ruling in Pretoria around the provision of water into schools in Pretoria. MEC, if you're ready, we're ready. MEC must use a mic.
What is it? Oh, yeah. Because it's too big, this all. Oh, yeah, okay. But you can hear me. I don't want to. Yeah, no, thank you very much, and good morning. We have, I hope you do have a statement. It's a bit lengthy because we are providing background and details so that you have all the information. So without wasting time, good morning, and I would like to start by reading the statement, which reads as follows. Over the past month, the Gauteng provincial government has provided a comprehensive overview of the state of education in the province, highlighting a myriad of structural challenges that confront the basic education ecosystem provincially. These challenges, at the center of which is fiscal constraints that have had an impact on teaching and learning, as well as infrastructure and maintenance, stem from the disproportionate levels of in-migration into the province. Since the dawn of the democratic dispensation, the Gauteng province's public education system has doubled in number in terms of the intake of learners, going from 1.4 million learners in 1995 to 2.8 million learners in 2026. While the provincial education budget has also increased significantly, the real value has not kept in line with the growth in learner numbers, as well as inflationary pressures that affect the cost of constructing new schools and maintaining the existing ones. On the 28th of April 2026, we convened a media briefing to provide comprehensive details about the nature of overcrowding in Gauteng schools. We intentionally gave information on each of the 15 education districts in the province to demonstrate the scale of the problem, highlighting that overcrowding is a feature across nearly all districts. We also elaborated on infrastructure delivery challenges, illustrating the impact of fiscal constraints on infrastructure backlogs, vandalism of infrastructure, crime within communities, and the crisis of the province's geomorphology that has resulted in numerous schools being built on dolomitic land. These are not only historic and current problems, but challenges that threaten the future of the education system in Gauteng. Consider the construction of schools on dolomitic land, for example, which presents inherent risks given the soluble nature of dolomitic rock. Building on dolomite require extensive geotechnical investigations and specialized foundation designs, such as reinforced concrete rafts designed to span potential voids, which significantly increases construction costs. Consider too, the exponential growth in learner intake against the infrastructure backlog. The infrastructure budget for the Gauteng Department of Education has been increasing over the years, but not at a pace commensurate with the in-migration that the province is confronted with. Consider the infrastructure budget for schools over the past 5 years and into the medium-term expenditure framework. In the 2021-2022 financial year, the education infrastructure budget was 1.63 billion, following adjustment appropriation, and in the 2025-2026 financial year, it stands at 2.84 billion. While the increase is a substantial increase of just over 1.2 billion, it remains insufficient when viewed in the context of the backlog of both infrastructure and maintenance. These are not present problems. They are challenges with future implications and need urgent mitigation by the government, private sector, and civil society. We outlined interventions that are underway, facilitated by the Gauteng provincial government. However, we stated, and I wish to reiterate this point, that the strengthening the education ecosystem in our province is going to require collaborative effort. In today's media briefing, we want to provide an overview of the impact of service delivery disruptions to teaching and learning in our province. Specifically, we want to address the issue of water and electricity disruptions that have occurred in the province, as well as communicate our approach to dealing with these challenges that have a significant impact in our schools. We will also provide an assessment on the decentralization model that the Gauteng Department of Education adopted, highlighting its intentions and the challenges that it is confronted with. On the 5th of May 2026, the High Court in Pretoria ordered the city of Tshwane to immediately restore electricity to schools disconnected over unpaid property rates in the administrative capital. The ruling prohibits further power cuts, confirming that schools should not face disconnection for property rates owed by authorities. This is an important ruling that affirms the importance of protecting the education system in Gauteng and South Africa broadly. Education services are not a privilege that is extended on the basis of financial ability. Education is a constitutionally enshrined right that is extended to all children in our country, regardless of their social, economic background or their geography. Our assertion that teaching and learning should not be interrupted is not intended at negating or minimizing the importance of revenue generation on the part of municipalities. We recognize that municipal revenue is vital for funding essential public services, infrastructure development, and local economic growth, enabling municipalities to function effectively, maintain financial sustainability, and reduce reliance on national grants. We also recognize that municipal revenue is essential for administrative operations, including the payment of salaries for municipal staff. Municipalities across the country are facing a severe revenue crisis due to poor cash flow and rising debt. This is the result of, amongst other factors, a persistent cost of living crisis that has weakened the ability of residents and small businesses to pay for services with necessary consistency. This is a legitimate challenge that municipalities have to navigate, recognizing that this is important that recognizing this, it is important that municipal governments not lose sight of the high cost of interrupting teaching and learning. Schools are and must remain a public good. Basic education is a fundamental human right that provides equitable access to opportunities, fosters democracy, and serves as a cornerstone for social, or rather societal, development and poverty reduction. The Gauteng provincial government extends sincere gratitude to municipalities across the province who have given us reassurance that not only will the court ruling be upheld, but that we will work together to find solutions to the water and electricity challenges that have a direct impact on schools in the province. In line with our commitment to accountability, we deem it necessary to provide an overview of the debt that schools owe to the Gauteng municipalities. The total amount owed to Gauteng municipalities over 60 days, as at the end of March 2026, is 583.9 million. Included in the total debt is an amount of 4.38 million, which is under query. The breakdown by the municipalities is as follows. In the city of Ekurhuleni, the total amount owed is 75.14 million. In the city of Johannesburg, the total amount owed is 390.71 million. In the city of Tshwane, the total amount owed is 51.7 million. In the Lesedi local municipality, the total amount owed is 8.84 million. In the Midvaal local municipality, the total amount owed is 3.99 million. In Mfuleni local municipality, the total amount owed is 36.3 million. In Rand West local municipality, the total amount owed is 916,569. In Mirafong City local municipality, the total owed is 6.9 million. In Mohali City local municipality, the total amount owed is 6.3 million. Gauteng schools also owe the power utility ESCOM a total of 6.32 million. We note that there are instances where schools were initially underbuilt based on estimates. Upon finalization of actual meter readings, higher charges were applied to schools' bills. This will be elaborated on in the next section on decentralization. In some cases, schools have been significantly impacted by inflationary pressures that are not on their own doing. In these instances, there's been a misalignment between increases in municipal tariffs and the annual incremental allocations provided to schools in terms of the national norms and standards for school funding that is issued in terms of Section 35 of the South African Schools Act. This has resulted in financial pressures on some school budgets, placing undue pressure on their ability to manage their debt obligations. The decentralization of municipal services to public schools in Gauteng refers to the process where responsibility for paying municipal accounts such as water, electricity, refuse removal and sanitation was shifted from the Gauteng Department of Education to individual public schools and their school governing bodies. This transpired particularly with Section 21 schools. Under the decentralized system, schools receive allocations from the department and are expected to manage and pay their own municipal accounts. The primary aim of this system is to promote financial autonomy and accountability at school level. The approach has been referred to by scholars as breaking to build, a concept that argues that decentralization can be an effective mechanism in national unity. In the context of education, breaking to build is about ensuring that decisions are made close to the point of action, thereby reducing bureaucratic delays and building more stable schools while promoting efficiency in their governance. The management of finances by public schools in Gauteng, particularly Section 21 schools, under the South African Schools Act, fee-paying and no-fee-paying public schools provide several important benefits. Financial decentralization allows schools and SGBs to exercise greater control over budgeting, procurement, and expenditure to meet the specific needs of their schools. It also allows for faster decision-making by schools. Schools can respond quickly to urgent needs without waiting for approval from the department. This improves efficiency in purchasing learning materials, paying service providers, and maintaining school infrastructure. Additionally, it provides for greater financial autonomy as schools have the authority to manage their own budget and prioritize spending according to their unique educational and operational needs. This allows schools to allocate resources where they are needed most. Linked to this is flexibility in procurement. With a decentralization model, schools can source suppliers and service providers that best suit their needs and budgets, obtaining quotations and negotiating better prices locally. In addition to this, decentralization intends to improve accountability. SGBs and school management become directly accountable for financial management and expenditure. This promotes transparency, proper record keeping, and responsible use of public funds as required by South African Schools Act. The approach also results in better resource allocation as schools are able to identify their own priorities such as textbooks, technology maintenance, security or learner support programs, and can allocate funds accordingly instead of relying solely on centralized decisions. It also encourages financial planning skills as managing finances helps principals, finance committees, and SGB members to develop budgeting, procurement, and financial management skills, strengthening governance at school level. In addition to this, the model promotes accountability through auditing, as schools are required to prepare an annual financial statement and undergo audits. This encourages compliance with financial legislation and proper internal controls. Furthermore, decentralization was aimed at improving service delivery as schools can directly pay for municipal services, repairs, stationery, and educational resources, reducing delays that often occur under fully centralized system. Linked to this, the approach intended to increase community participation. Parents and community members serving on SGBs participate in financial oversight and decision making. This strengthens democratic governance and community ownership of schools. The model aimed to support school improvement initiatives. Financial independence allows schools to implement projects such as infrastructure upgrades, extracurricular activities, ICT improvements, and learner support programs more effectively. However, despite these clear benefits, the decentralization process has had significant negative impacts, especially regarding non-payment of municipal services. The first challenge pertains to financial pressures on schools. Many schools, especially no-fee and low-income schools, struggle to pay increasing municipal tariffs using limited state allocations. Some schools inherited historical municipal debt that accumulated before the decentralization policy was implemented. This leads to the second challenge, which is service disconnections, as evidenced in the case that led to the ruling in the city of Tshwane. Municipalities have disconnected electricity and water services at several schools due to unpaid accounts. Reports indicate that over a period of time, hundreds of Gauteng schools have faced service interruptions because of outstanding municipal debt. Another challenge of the decentralization approach has been the impact on teaching and learning. Non-payment directly affects teaching and learning conditions. Schools without electricity cannot operate computer labs, lighting, or administrative systems, while water cuts create sanitation and health risks for learners and staff. Additionally, the approach has highlighted cases of weak financial management capacity. Some SGBs lack adequate financial management skills and administrative capacity to handle municipal accounts effectively. This contributes to late payments, poor budgeting, and growing areas. This leads to the fifth challenge, which is increased municipal debt. Municipalities in Gauteng are owed nearly 600 million by public schools, as I've indicated. This weakens municipal revenue collection and affects municipalities' ability to provide sustainable services to communities, as highlighted earlier in this statement. Finally, the decentralization model has created disputes between schools and the department regarding responsibility for historical debt and current non-payment. Some schools argue that they received insufficient funding, while the department maintains that funds were transferred to schools for this purpose. This has created an accountability problem. Municipalities in Gauteng have increasingly been accused of overcharging public schools through incorrect billing, inflated tariffs, estimated readings, historical debt transfers, and unlawful charges on municipal accounts. These billing disputes have contributed significantly to the financial crisis facing many public schools, particularly Section 21 and no-fee schools. Some of the common forms of alleged overcharging include incorrect meter readings and estimated billing. Many schools report being billed on estimated consumption instead of actual meter readings. This often results in excessively high electricity and water accounts that do not reflect real usage. Schools sometimes receive sudden inflated bills without proper explanation or verification. The impact of overcharging by municipalities on public schools in Gauteng is not insignificant. It results in the accumulation of massive municipal debt, threats of electricity and water disconnections, disruption of teaching and learning, diversion of school funds away from educational resources, and increased tensions between schools, municipalities, and the department. Another challenge is historical debt being loaded onto schools. Schools have complained that municipalities transferred old municipal debt into current school accounts, even where the debt originated before the decentralization of municipal services. Several schools argue that they inherited areas accumulated while the Gauteng Department of Education was previously responsible for payments. Linked to this are incorrect tariff classifications. Some public schools allege that they are billed under business or commercial tariffs instead of educational or public service tariffs. Commercial tariffs are substantially higher and place severe financial strain on schools already operating under limited budgets. Another emerging challenge that we are seeing pertaining to additional levies and unclear charges. Municipal accounts often includes unexplained charges, penalties, interest, and service levies that schools struggle to verify. Across South Africa, courts have increasingly scrutinized unlawful municipal sundries and fixed charges imposed on consumers, including schools. This lack of municipal billing transparency has resulted in schools frequently experiencing difficulties obtaining detailed accounts, reconciliation from municipalities. Poor record keeping, inconsistent statements, and delayed responses make it difficult for schools to dispute incorrect charges or reconcile payments. The Gauteng Department of Education recognizes that the decentralized management of public school finances in the province sought to promote autonomy, accountability, efficiency, and community participation. We also recognize that when supported by proper training, adequate funding, and effective oversight, decentralization can improve service delivery and contribute positively to teaching and learning outcomes in public schools. However, and despite these benefits, challenges such as insufficient funding, municipal overcharging, weak financial skills, and rising operational costs can affect the effectiveness of decentralized financial management. For this reason, we are reviewing the decentralization model. This has been made necessary by the impediments that it has posed, particularly as it pertains to challenges with financial management and sound governance, which results in the non-payment of municipal services. We are in the process of engaging with the necessary stakeholders to assess what can be done to strengthen teaching and learning whilst mitigating and eliminating the challenges that we have outlined herein. Ultimately, schools must focus on the core mandate of delivering the curriculum successfully. Administrative functions must be performed by experts, personnel, to prevent governance failures and other factors that may obscure the focus of school management teams and school governing bodies. As it pertains to ensuring that schools have a sustainable and reliable supply of electricity, water and sanitation services, the department will continue to work with municipalities to ensure adherence to the High Court ruling, whilst also assisting schools that are awaiting resolution to their queries and objections to overbilling and related challenges. It is greatly comforting and encouraging that municipalities have expressed commitment to this endeavor. The constitutionally enshrined right to basic education must remain non-negotiable, and the conditions that enables the success of this education must be maintained and protected. Through intergovernmental relations platforms, the department will continue to address various challenges that require cooperation and coordination between three spheres of government and relevant entities. Residents of Gauteng must recognize that schools are properties of their communities. Above all, education is a social responsibility and a public good. We all need to play our part in strengthening the education system, ecosystem rather, in our province. It is in our collective interest. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MEC and the panel. Colleagues, we will take a round of hands for questions of clarity. Then the MEC and the panel will respond to you. So you will say your name, the media house you're coming from. I then now take hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, in that order, please. Okay. There's number 1 this side.
Good morning, MEC. Good morning, everyone. My name is Slu Molamudi from Kaya News. MEC, I just want to ask an update question regarding Riverlea Secondary School. During the State of Gauteng Education address last month, you had said there was some interest from private sector to assist with funds to ensure that the school is fixed and that things are back to normal. How far are you with that? And then with regards to the Pretoria High Court ruling, what is the department's plan in terms of involving other stakeholders? Because about 2 weeks ago, the Tshwane mayor reiterated that they will continue to switch off electricity as long as those institutions owe, even if they are schools. So what is the department's take on that? Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2.
Thank you. It's Siyabonga Sithole from Independent Media. I just want to find out from the MEC in terms of the investigation that is being undertaken by the South African Human Rights Commission, who is investigating some of the issues that have brought the water issues to the fore They are probing some of the issues, including water or the provision of water through water tankers and private entities. I don't know if the MEC has a reflection on that investigation and what would be some of the challenges that you've seen having taken over as an MEC for education, if some of the issues are reflected on what you have seen within the department. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Number 3. The issue on the floor.
Hi, my name is Gwena Mashala from the Sowetan. I wanted to know, in regards to the responsibility of the historical debt and current non-payment, do we have a figure? Do you hear me? You can hear me? Okay. Is there a figure on the current historical debt? Do we know the exact amount that is being, of the historical debt? Yes, that one. And then I wanted to ask, in the part that's being contested or questioned by the department regards, I think you said 4.3 million. Yeah, that's being contested. Is it in regards to the additional levies and the unclear charges that are being added on by the municipalities? Thank you.
Thank you. Number 4, that corner.
Thank you. My name is Steven Siakwe from Mapepeza News Media. 2 questions. Number 1, it's regarding the disputes between municipalities and the department. Don't you think there should be an establishment of a permanent intergovernmental committee of some sort where these issues can be dealt with? Because when we're dealing with rising municipal tariffs, they happen year on year. As you see, the allocation, sometimes they don't reach up to what the schools owe. So we think that this is a long-term issue, and it has also been collaborated in some reports that some organizations do call for something more permanent towards these solutions. So we just wanted to ask, is that maybe something that's in the spanner of the department? And then secondly, it's regarding the eco-schools that have been built 10 years ago, 12 to be more exact. Urifile in Oliven was crowned Gauteng's first green school because they had a solar farm and they used a solar system to manage their sanitation. So don't we think schools like that, and also the one in North Riding, I think it's North Riding Secondary, where they have their own solar farm, don't we think suggestions like that or schools like that would be a good model going forward towards solving the persistent crisis of issues like electricity and water? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. MEC on the panel.
Question from Kaya FM. It's new. Yeah, I mean, private sector is interested. So it is interested, not just on Rivali, even on. We will talk about. I know. Is it SABC that was interested on Dalsy September? So they've already started fixing. So it's private sector, as their money. Remember. So in Rivali, we've already allowed them to, because there was a company that wanted to donate about 3 pro-mobile classrooms in Rivali. We've agreed. And there's people as well who have said that they want to do something related to Nelson Mandela Day. It's private sector, so it's there. It's private sector. Some of the people want to be known, others don't want to be known, but they want to contribute. Yeah, so we shouldn't have mayors that makes reckless populist statements. Reckless populist statements. So ordinarily there shouldn't be any school that is switched off. That's the first thing. However, it doesn't mean that schools must not pay for water and electricity. It must. And that's why we're making a provision. In fact, we spend close to 2 billion rands on water and electricity in Gauteng schools. I didn't put that amount here. And as you can see, what we owe them is far much less than what we budget for. So it's not an issue of affordability. So we must put it that way, that the department can afford to pay for water and electricity for all the schools. It's other issues. When you look at the statement, billing, estimates, historic debts and all that. So it's not. So mayors should not make populist and reckless statements because they want votes. We know it's local and they want to be seen to be working. Working does not mean you must disrupt learning and teaching. When you disrupt learning and teaching, it shows that you are irresponsible as a mayor. And if you want votes, you might lose them because these kids have got parents who are voting. Why would you disrupt their education? So you must tell that mayor, whichever mayor that you said, that I said she's reckless and populist. She must not do that. So that's the first question. The second question, Human Rights Commission is investigating the issue of water in Gauteng. It's calling all municipalities. We think it's a very important initiative. It must be supported. And obviously that will also extend to schools because when there's no water provision, schools are affected. So we welcome the initiative of the Human Rights Commission and we hope that that process will give us more information. So that's independent, from the independent, you said independent, no? Yeah, independent media. And then, so no, the historic debt, when you look at it, that amount includes current and historic. Close to, yes, yeah. The 4.3 million, yeah, it's disputed because in certain instances schools might be saying, but this is not correct. So that's why there's a query. That's why there's a query. And then dispute between municipalities. Mapebeza. No, there is a team, there is a committee in the province. So, but as you can see here, the problem is the money is with the schools, they are paying. So the dispute in most cases is not between the department and municipalities, it's between the schools and the municipalities. That's why when you read our statement, you see we're talking about what we call the pitfalls of decentralization. When we decentralized and gave schools money to pay for themselves. And you'll see, we are saying, we are thinking about centralizing it again. And in fact, the reason why we are centralizing, why we're thinking of that, which won't be immediate, because we thought we must set the record straight today with the press conference, because there's queries from time to time from schools, from media and all that the money is with the schools currently, but we're working on centralizing again. And what we are working on is we're looking at how best to can finance what you call alternatives and possibly taking schools off grid. I've not spoken about it here in the statement because we are still investigating that possibility. When we are ready, we will then make a pronouncement that this is what we are going to do. But we want to ensure that schools have got reliable supply of water and electricity throughout the year. There must be no interruption. The way we don't want communities to disrupt learning, we also don't want water and electricity to be a cause of disruption, because learners have got at least, they say what, 200 days in a year. Yeah, it's about 200 school days. So if you lose a day or two, it's no longer 200 days. So we must make sure that that 200 days is used optimally. So that issue of eco schools, we are looking at it. In fact, there are about 6 areas where we're looking at doing things differently. So it includes the building of schools, because we hope to can build more. The mobile classrooms that we provide, we're looking at different options now. Why? Because when we gave you a briefing, and that's why you know what you must do. Read all the, you must see our statements are interrelated. And that's why we started with what we call a synopsis on the state of education. When you read that synopsis, and then you read the statement we issued on overcrowding, then you read this one as well, you'll see that they are interrelated. We are telling a story, a certain story about the education system of our province and where we want to take it. Yeah. You want to add?
Thank you very much, MEC. Let's check if there's any further questions. Okay, number one. We're in a
Conference. Give media conference, please. I didn't call a community meeting. I'm going to have community meetings from Tuesday in different communities. I didn't call a community meeting. I give very visual. I want media. It's a media conference. And in future, when you communicate media things, you must not communicate in public where our venue is. You must communicate to the media. It's a media conference. You must do things properly. If I need a meeting with teachers, I'm meeting them. With parents, I do that. We shouldn't do that.
Thank you, MEC. Number one, number two, just two. Tembisa, thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Mfanelo Zanibe. I'm from Tembisa Online. I know that maybe the question might have been asked, but I just wanted to find out what is the update in terms of the state of education at Dalsi September, which is in Rabi Ridge. Has the MEC been to, or any officials been to the school? We have been told that the school has been disrupted over the past weeks or a month or so. So yeah, that's actually my question, the interventions.
Number two.
Oh, thanks once again. My question is regarding Happiness Primary School in Nigel, Arlapak. They've had issues. Happiness Primary School in Arlapak, Nigel. They've complained to the media several times regarding their electricity issues. They also had a discussion where they said they received about 480,000, I'm not sure about the exact figure, in allocation, whereas they are having an owing of about 800,000. So every time they have to prioritize what they have to allocate, the city's municipal debts come first. However, the city has turned off their electricity supply since March. Just want to find out if there's any intervention since then. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There's no other media
So
house.
you want me to answer about Happiness Primary School? You know, there's 2,111 schools in Gauteng. You are asking me about Happiness. But I'll answer you, no problem.
Thank you. ENCA?
Good morning. My name is Bafedile from ENCA. So last year, MEC, there were reports that the department has freezed over 400 posts, teaching posts. What's happening with that? Because I spoke to a majority of people who are saying that they wake up every morning volunteering, going to work, and there's absolutely no update from the department.
Thank you, ENCA.
No, well, I don't think, but I'll answer that thing. We don't have people volunteering, we have people creating stories. So you've got, let me be systematic. Let me start with the Dalsi September. I saw you came late. Yeah, so I also spoke, but I think when I spoke, you were here. I saw you came late. So, yeah, no, it's fine. It's your loss because your media house. I'm saying what you must do. Yes, we have been to Dalsy September. Not me personally, as the department. We have sent a team. And Dalsy September, there's about 11 classes that are being fixed now by a company called Velumex, which has agreed from the request I made to fix those classes so that, and they are also fixing toilets. Then there's still a lot of work to be done at Dalsy September. In fact, they need a new school. But you know that we need 200 schools in Gauteng. That's why I was talking about the happiness. So the problem of Dalsy September is a reflection of a bigger problem. That's why I was saying read that statement, this statement and all that, so that you understand. And because I said we need 200 schools. To get 200 schools, we need 35 billion. We don't have 35 billion. We have 70 billion, it's our budget. 52 billion goes to salaries of educators. 52 billion. 11 billion goes to schools. 4 billion is for infrastructure. So that money is not there. That's why I said when I was answering Steve, there's about 6 areas we're looking at doing things differently, including on building of schools. So there's short, medium, and long-term interventions that we'll be making. So a school like Dalsy September is one of the emergencies that has to be attended to. In fact, there is no school that has no problems, including this school where we are. There is no school that has no problems. All the 2,111 schools have got problems. So what do? You need to work systematically and not run around like a headless chicken. So you must understand what is the problem in each school, what is the extent of the problem, and then you must categorize and say which one needs urgent attention. That's what is going to happen. So that's why I'm not going to, because everybody says our school must be fixed. Everybody. We don't have the money to fix all the schools immediately. It's not there. And we did explain in the press conference that one of the problems, people refuse to pay for e-tolls. We are paying 20 billion rands. 18 billion rands of that would have came to health and education. It would have dealt with all these issues. So where will government get the money? We are paying 1.7 billion every year for scholar transport, 1.3 billion to feed schools, kids in schools every day. So we have to be realistic. But Dalsy September is very important. It's one of those schools that there has to be intervention. And hence, because there is no resources, I had to ask the private sector to come in. And we are grateful that Velumex has responded positively, which is what, but we still need to play our part in that school. Like happiness, I said, every school has a problem, and I don't see you with the statement. They must give you a copy of the statement. Okay. You see, when you read the statement, it explains the problem of happiness, primary, and all other schools. They are the same. I did say that some schools are saying the money is not enough. I did say that some schools are saying there's historic debt. I did say that there's no proper billing. It's not just happiness, primary. Maybe that's where you went, is your school when you grow up. So you wanted to represent. It's fine. It's fine. I went to Skien and Minerva here in Alex. So I'm sure they will be happy. They would want me to speak about it. But it's fine. So that's the issue about happiness, Stephen. You know, there is no one who's teaching for free in our schools. If you are doing it out of the love of the kids. And we don't have such. We pay everyone who's an educator. The only post that we said when we spoke was that we are short of about 340. Yes, 340. The 4,000 that they're talking about, it's not educator post, it's everyone in the system, including people who clean, administrative, and all that. So when you don't have money, Like I've explained, now I've just given you our budget. I'm going to give a budget speech now in June. You don't have to come, you know how our budget is. Those who says that if you don't have money, you don't have money. So what do you prioritize? Are you going to fill posts and get to a point where you can't afford? And I told the principals when I was meeting with them, and I was addressing a SADU conference, and I said to them, if you want us to be irresponsible and collapse the system, we will hire everyone. But there will come a point where we will not have money to pay people. There are municipalities that are not able to pay people. It's not far-fetched. It can happen tomorrow. So it's easy. We can say we will fill all the vacant posts because we want to be loved. What happens if we don't have enough money to pay? Will those people be prepared to give us even a discount on their salaries? I've asked them. They are not. So we can't be irresponsible. So we are not freezing any post because we don't want people to be hired. Unemployment is a big problem. We want to fight unemployment and we want to make sure. So I can go on and on about the story of how we need to fight unemployment. Because in economic development, their budget has not increased for the last 12 years or so. I was MEC of Economic Development. Their budget is 1.9 billion. When I was there, between 2014 and 2019, their budget was about 1.7 billion. It has not increased. I'm responsible for sports. Their budget has not increased. I was MEC of sports between 2010 and 2014. Their budget was 1 billion. Today, as I speak to you, their budget is 1 billion and 50 million. You know why? All the money has gone to education. In our synopsis on the state of education, we show you that the education budget has grown by 1,600%. It's a lot of money, but it's not enough to solve the problems. So I know people want positions, they want promotions, everyone wants a bit of something and all that. I'm worried about fixing the system and making sure that we stabilize it. And the kids can learn in conducive environment. The educators can teach in conducive environment. And they must be safe in schools. You know, so the problems are many. And everyone, so that's why I don't want people to think, I know, and I hope, because I see people who are not I'm not having a meeting with anyone now from here. My meeting was with the media. I do one-on-ones, and thereafter I leave. Not because I don't want to talk to people. We are structured. We've got meetings we've got 45 community meetings. In every district, we're going to have a minimum of 3 community meetings in a hall bigger than this. And I don't want, educators on, in fact, I don't even want education stakeholders. I want to have a meeting with the communities, because the problems in schools are a reflection of problems in communities. And if we don't solve those problems in communities, they come into schools. Like crime, bullying, all the issues. Teachers are not safe in schools. Then there's a problem of money in schools. This issue we're talking about, which I've avoided talking about. There's a lot of money in our schools. There's 11 billion rand in our schools. And that's why you get people, some people, not all, some people who are guardians and caregivers of the learners, going not because they care for these learners, because they want to be in the school governing bodies to have access to that money. There are a lot of problems we'll talk about. And those people create problems for our schools. So we need to start thinking about how do we deal. And I must not be understood to be saying people who don't have kids in schools must not take interest in the education. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need people who have genuine interests about education. And because there's unemployment, for instance, people they can't find jobs, there's 11 billion in schools. That's why they go there. Principals are being shot and killed because of that money. If you check every school where there's a problem with the governing body and whatever, the fight is about that money. We've been dissolving governing bodies, and I receive complaints every day, governing body complaining about the principal or this and that and all that. At the center of it is the money that is there. That's why we must find a way of removing this money in schools so that we are left with now we no longer have chalkboards because we've given you electronic boards. We must be left with electronic boards and iPads. We'll talk about that, what we want to see, how we want to ensure that all learners, at least starting from grade 7 to grade 12, have got access to e-learning. That's what we want to do. There's a lot of things we're going to do. That's why we don't want this thing of, you get parents saying, people are saying are parents, but disrupt our school, or they want to see the MEC. I'm not going to come. To do what? You disrupt the school, you want me to come there? I'm not mad. If there are problems, you don't disrupt the school. Come march to my office, no problem. Or ask for a meeting. If I'm not able to come, in the Department of Education, apart from the educators, we've got at least 30,000 other people. We're men, we're enough. There is no way we can say we are not available to meet you. The only difference that you might not meet me. But the acting HODs, director, we are men, we are enough. So why will a parent, if you claim, imagine if your child was there in that school, you are a parent, you behave in a very uncouth manner. And then you claim to be having a parent, to be having a child in the school. That's staggering. You can't call yourself a parent behaving like that. And you can't think that I will come to your school because you are disrupting. The only thing we are doing, we send the police. You are disrupting the school, you must be arrested. It's a criminal act in terms of the school governing board. So anyone who thinks that they will get my attention by, I was a COSAS president. I was disrupting school when I was a COSAS president. So that thing, I'm choosing. You think I'm going to be scared and worried? I was leading COSAS, leading students in the forefront. I led the ANC Youth League. I grew up in the streets of Alex. So don't think you are going to intimidate me and say, get to school. I'm sending the police. That's the only thing I'm doing. But if you say there are problems, you want to talk, I'm available. And I always tell my colleagues, I don't have side hustles. I work full-time in education. This is why on Sunday I'm here. I cannot spot on No, I don't. I get paid by the people of South Africa to do this work. I'm doing it Monday to Sunday. So I will never say to you I'm not available. If I'm not available, it's because I'm committed in something else, and I will ask our other colleagues to come. But sometimes people become unreasonable. You want to see the MEC. What do you want? Do you want the MEC or do you want to solve the problem? So that's what we need to do in our schools. Because if we don't become firm, we are not going to have. There are problems in Tsakani. There's I don't know, you have not spoken about the Tsakani area. Duduza, Etwa, Davidton. Every second day schools are disrupted. I'm having a meeting, my first meeting there on Tuesday. There are 45 meetings. I'm going to have 45 meetings. You can follow me if you want, community meetings. 45. So, and that's the minimum which we are going to have. It's Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Because we want to engage with communities. These problems are big. We need to have a shared perspective about educational issues. And that's why when you look at our statement, it's long. You look at all our statements, and we're deliberate because we want to give you a full picture. We don't want to give you anecdotes. Yeah.
Thank you, MEC. There is no further comments. Colleagues, we want to appreciate you for having attended to our invite. Banbom Pagatu MEC says Mpagatin, as you heard him. This was strictly a media briefing, and its invite was clear on that. We want to appreciate you again, and we want to also emphasize that we'll still be available to take questions post this briefing. Then I would like to adjourn our press briefing. Thank you very much. Sorry, the snacks, the finger foods for the journalists will be here in the hall. For the management, it's in the staff room. Thank you.